Hey there, and welcome into the Daily Dynasty Show. I'm your host, Spencer Smith, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the fact that the Tush Push has been shelved for a later date. The Micah Parsons contract, we are now 4 weeks away from the NFL draft, so I'm going to be giving 4 hot takes as it relates to fantasy football and the NFL draft, the prediction zone, and more. You won't want to miss a thing. Let's go. Alrighty then. How are we doing and how are you doing on this Wednesday, April 2nd of 2025? It's been an incredible week so far. I know I said last week that this week, me and my wife are going on a vacation. We're going to be going to Orlando. We're doing the Run Disney events down in Orlando, Florida. We're going to be doing a 5K on Friday, a 10K on Saturday, and a 10-mile race on Sunday. It's going to be incredibly fun. Getting those medals, getting the challenge medal, and of course, spending the days at the parks. And then, of course, you know how it is on Medal Monday, as they call it down in Disney. Got something in my throat. Excuse me there. But we will be going to Disney this weekend. I'm incredibly excited. We actually leave tomorrow. So I'm recording this podcast episode right now. It is 9:50 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. And you'll be hearing this today. And tomorrow, if you're listening, I will be traveling to Orlando. We're getting up at 4 in the morning. And we're going to head out and do our thing. It's going to be really fun. Some other news that has been happening as of late. For these races, have recently gotten some new shoes. They're called Sauconys. I don't know. Maybe y'all who are more legit runners out there know exactly what it's called. But I've been running with the On Cloud Monster, I think is what they're called. And they're for the long distance running. And don't get me wrong, I love them. And long distance, I love them way more than these Sauconys that I got. But let me tell you something. These Saucony, however you say it, they are way lighter, way faster. Like they don't want you to be on the heel. And I love that. I do have to say. But like I said last week, I know the majority of you guys listening could absolutely care less about what's going on in my own life. So with that being said, let's get into some of the NFL news here. Steelers owner Art Rooney says that he has a, quote, good feeling about Aaron Rodgers, and the signs are pointing in the direction that he will end up in Pittsburgh. He also says he will not wait forever for Rodgers to make a decision, so we'll have to see what happens there. We do know that Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf were recently spotted throwing the ball around together, getting in a workout session. Obviously, at this point, I think it's pretty clear Rodgers is going to the Steelers. I think that it makes sense for Rodgers to go to the Steelers. It makes sense for all the parties involved. Aaron Rodgers, basically, the last dance for him is in Pittsburgh, so we'll see what happens there. Jets head coach Aaron Glenn hinted at the possibility of the Jets adopting the running back by committee approach within their RB room. He told Rich Cimini, saying, in quote, "I think mentally Breece Hall is in a good place. But I would say that we have 3 running backs on this team that we're going to utilize as much as possible," end quote. Now, I understand the running back by committee. I mean, listen, the majority of the league is that way. But I seriously don't see how this is breaking news. Every team does this to keep their running backs fresh. It's smart. So I think that, yes, Breece Hall is still going to be the main back. Yes, Breece Hall is still going to be that bell cow back for them. But don't get it twisted. They've got good backs behind them, and we saw that last year. In fact, what we saw last year was that, yes, Breece Hall, of course, like I said, he is that bell cow. He is the main running back for the team. But Breece Hall, just like the backup, Braylon Allen, they're both incredibly young. Braylon Allen is only 21. He just became legal. But last year, Braylon Allen had some moments, finishing RB6 for fantasy in Week 2, finishing RB30 in Week 3 against New England, RB34 in Week 8 against New England, RB23 in Week 14 against Miami. And, of course, the week he finished RB6 was mostly off the back of the fact that he had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown at 20 years old in the NFL. That was incredibly cool to see. But Braylon Allen, yes, he's a stud. But not only that, they've also got Isaiah Davis back there at 23 years old. This is a young running back room. But don't get it twisted. Breece Hall is still the RB1 for this team, finishing RB2 in 2023. RB16 last year, he missed a game. He was a little off after the bye week, of course, last year. Now, before the bye week, he was incredible, but after the bye week, finishing RB46, missing the game in week 14 against Miami, RB21, RB21, RB33, and then ending the season against Miami as the RB7 on the week. So, Breece Hall, listen, I see what Aaron Glenn is saying, but I also know the facts, and the facts are Breece Hall is that bell cow running back for them. The Panthers have faith in second-year wide receiver Xavier Legette to be their number one option on offense. Head coach Dave Canales told Darren Grant, saying in quote, "You got a guy who's 6'2.5", 225 pounds, and runs a 4.3. He's a playmaker, and it's on film. It's like, let's start there. Let's just take the next step with him." Now, this is coming off of the back that there was a report that the Panthers could have gotten DK Metcalf, but Dave Canales believes that Xavier Legette is essentially the DK Metcalf of the Panthers. Now, I like Xavier Legette, okay? I think he's got potential. But let's not get it twisted here. He spent 5 years in college, and only one of those years ended up proving fruitful. Okay, it was that last year at South Carolina where he had 71 receptions for 1,255 yards. Now, of course, it was incredible. Don't get me wrong. He had over 100 yards a game, and he had 7 touchdowns. But his entire career at South Carolina amounted to 1,678 yards, 113 receptions, 31.7 yards per game, and 12 receiving touchdowns. The majority of that was year 5. Not to mention what it was for Xavier Legette in the NFL. So the last 6 games after their bye week, he averaged 7 targets, 4 receptions, and 36 yards per game. Now, if you stretch that out to a full season last year, it was barely over 600 yards total for the year. Now, maybe with the QB role being solidified finally going into 2025, there's a chance we see the year 2 leap. But to not get DK because you believe that strongly in Legette is either crazy or genius. But either way, he's going to be utilized quite a bit this year. So I am excited about Xavier Legette in fantasy football. One of the last bits, we got a few more things here. Quote from an NFL assistant GM on Alabama QB Jalen Milroe via Jordan Schultz. Quote, "He's one of the most intriguing guys in the entire draft. There's a narrative that he's just a running back, but that's way off. His deep ball can be a major weapon at the next level. I've watched him a lot, and he's very capable in the pocket and carves up zone defenses very well. There's a lot to work with, and I like the kid." Now, we've seen reports that Pittsburgh likes Jalen Milroe, especially at the end of the first round. I believe they got the 21st overall pick. I'll have to fact check that. But at the end of the first round, they like Jalen Milroe. But there are some teams at the beginning of the second round who also like Jalen Milroe. I already talked about it. I'll be doing some hot takes later in this episode. He will be there. One of the last bits of news here, I got 2 more for you. The Cowboys have offered a contract to Micah Parsons that would make him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. This is interesting. I don't know exactly what the contract is right this moment. If I did know, trust me, I'd be telling you. I don't know exactly what it is at this exact moment, but Micah Parsons has been offered a contract that will make him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. It would be unwise for him not to take it unless he believes staying in Dallas is not the way to go when it comes to winning football games for the long term. We'll just have to see what happens there. And the last bit of news, one of my favorite last bit of news here actually, is that the NFL has changed its rules on alternate jerseys. The NFL is updating its uniform policy, allowing teams to wear their throwback alternate uniforms up to 4 times per season. I love the NFL alternate jerseys. I love them. Now, here's the thing. Why not just make it all year? 1 year. 1 year, we'll call it the alternate season. Just make all teams have to wear their throwback jerseys all home games. All home games, they have to wear their throwback jerseys. That would be cool. Doesn't have to be away games. It doesn't have to be all the away games. But every home game, the teams have to wear their alternate jerseys. Now, for this new rule change, I thought I would bring up my top 5 favorite alternate jerseys in the NFL as it stands right now. We'll go 5-1. My 5th favorite is that Broncos blue helmet throwback uniforms. Oh my gosh, the ones that they wore last year, that is clean. The next one for me is the Jacksonville Jaguars throwback unis that they wore at home. Not the ones with the white helmets, but the ones that are more 90s-esque. I really, really like those. Number 3 for me is the Buccaneers creamsicle uniforms that they wore last year. Oh my gosh, those are incredible. That white helmet with that old school Buccaneer on the helmet and those creamy orange and red and white uniforms. Very, very nice. Number 2 for me is the Atlanta Falcons 1966 throwback uniforms. Well, rather inspired by their inaugural season in 1966 that they wore last year. You know, the all black, the red helmet with the long-winged falcon going down the side of that helmet. That is near perfection, but perfection. The number 1 alternate jersey in the NFL are those Kelly Green Eagles uniforms. Oh my gosh, if I could see those every home game of the NFL season, could you imagine had they worn those in the Super Bowl? Those are incredible. But that is all the NFL news I have for you today. Let's move on to 4 hot takes in regards to fantasy football and the NFL draft, now being 4 weeks away from the NFL draft. Let's go! Now, before we get too deep into this, I would just like to give a quick shout out and thank you to the sponsor of today's episode, Prediction Strike. They are the world's first fantasy stock exchange where it pays to be a fan. Ever heard your favorite sports personality say they had stock in that player since day one? Well, Prediction Strike makes that a reality. With the lowest fees in sports at 2.5%, you can start trading today. Thousands of people are already participating. It's time that you put your sports knowledge to work and do the same. Get in on your favorite players, the next superstars, and the players you know are being slept on. You can use code DDS right now at sign up and when making that first deposit for a deposit match bonus of up to $200. And thank you to Prediction Strike. Let's talk about the fact that we are now 4 weeks away from the NFL draft. So let's talk some hot takes here. Now, of course, everybody here that's listening should know what hot takes are. More than likely, they're not going to happen. Is it possible that some could happen? Yes, there are possibilities. I will explain those possibilities that maybe make it seem like, maybe that could happen. But there's a high chance they don't. So, with the first hot take, I've got the Raiders trade with the Browns, giving the Browns their 106, their 2026 first, and a 2025 fourth-round pick. In return, the Raiders get the 102, and they draft Shedeur Sanders to Las Vegas, not extending Geno and allowing Geno only to play for the last year of his contract one season, while Shedeur sits for a year. Shedeur Sanders was eyeing Las Vegas, was eyeing the New York Giants throughout this last bit of his career here in college. Now, it's possible he can go play with the Raiders. Hot take number 2, the Jets draft Jackson Dart, knowing that the Fields contract is truly only a 1-year deal. Yes, it's 2 years, but it can be discarded after year 1 if Justin Fields is not playing up to par. So do the Jets draft Jackson Dart and let him sit while Justin Fields plays 1 year? Possible. Number 3, possibly the hottest take of them all. The Saints draft Jalen Milroe at 9 overall. The connection of Kellen Moore and the Eagles, the similarities as a prospect that Milroe has to Hurts as he came out. It could happen. Will it happen? Probably not. Now, my last hot take here is that Ashton Jeanty is drafted top 5 in the draft, specifically to the Patriots at number 4. Knowing that Ramondre Stevenson has fumbling issues, knowing they must continue to surround Drake May with talent, especially after bringing in Stephon Diggs, what better talent in this draft offensively that is not a quarterback and not a wide receiver than Ashton Jeanty? There isn't one. So those are the 4 hot takes that I have for you. Number 1, the Raiders make it to where they draft Shedeur Sanders 2 overall. Number 2, the Jets draft Jackson Dart, knowing that the Fields contract can truly be discarded after year 1. Number 3, the Saints, with Kellen Moore and the similarities that Jalen Milroe and Hurts share as a prospect, draft Jalen Milroe at 9 overall. And number 4, Ashton Jeanty is drafted as a top 5 player to the Patriots at number 4 overall in this draft. Now let's move on. Before I get into the prediction zone, I do want to talk about the Tush Push. Oh, the tush push discussion is one that is very infuriating, as they say. Oh my gosh. It is very aggravating because honestly, in all seriousness, the tush push ban discussion just reeks of jealousy and pettiness. Okay. Now, there are no recorded injuries on the tush push. What exactly are we banning? Because all it is a QB sneak in the formation of a kneel down. That's all it is. The formation is the kneel down formation at the end of a game. But the play itself is just a QB sneak. Are we banning pushing players forward? Because that gets done with running backs. That gets done with wide receivers. That gets done with tight ends. That gets done when the defense intercepts a ball. They're very close to getting it in. Maybe they're about to get tackled, and their fellow defensive mates push them into the end zone. So are we going to ban that as well? Oh, it's not a football play. Yeah, cut it. Not hearing that. It's just like Kyle Brandt said yesterday. Quote, you know what happens when you ban the tush push? Instead of Jalen Hurts pushing his way into the end zone, it will be a handoff to Saquon Barkley, who's going to run a conventional running play with a leading head start, with more impact, with more collision. The old-fashioned running play at the goal line has a higher injury risk than the tush push. He went on to say, it doesn't look like a football play. That argument sucks as well because it's destroying you in football. Now, end quote there. This ban of this specific play is nothing more than jealousy and pettiness that one team can do it better than the rest. That's all it is. And what you're seeing in these discussions coming out of these coaches' meetings is you're seeing the Sirianni side, so the Sirianni tree of head coaches that are in the league right now, along with Sirianni himself, basically saying, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. You're basically just punishing one team for coming up with a great play. There's no injury concern, so don't even mess with me about that. It's actually more risky to do the regular running play, to do other types of QB sneaks, not this one. But what you do see is the LaFleur tree, who LaFleur, if we can remember, were the ones who started this whole thing seriously. LaFleur, McVay, etc., they're kind of against it. Now, McVay has came out and said that he understands why it shouldn't be banned, but at the end of the day, is he going to go against his buddy? No, he's not. Obviously, the tush push should not be banned. I still wholeheartedly believe it will never be banned, okay? I believe that it's shelved for now. They're going to look more into it, and the reason is, just like anything else political, they got to go find their reason. They still want to get it done, but they don't have enough right now. So let's go find the reason. Let's go find the evidence we need so that we can finally ban this play that we're just not good enough to do. That's all it is. We're not good enough to do it. You're too good to do it, and we can't figure it out. So we got to get it out of the NFL. That is strictly unfair, and it will, if it were to ever get banned, it will forever be remembered as the Jalen Hurts ban, as the Eagles ban, specifically against them. It's very weak. It's very petty. It's jealousy written all over itself. And the tush push should never, and I'm going to say, I predict will never be banned. Now, I will say this. If every team in the NFL, and I said it before, if every team in the NFL had a over 90% succession rate with this play, yeah. If it's that much of a gimme, maybe we should do something about it. There shouldn't be an OP play in the NFL with every team being able to do it. But considering there's only one team being able to do it this good right now, it should not be banned. It should not be banned. And that is my take on the entire thing, okay? But now, let's enter the prediction zone. Well, alrighty, the Prediction Zone is a new segment that is brought to you by Prediction Strike. Make sure you use code DDS when signing up and when making that first deposit. You will make sure that you entitle yourself to up to $200 of a deposit match bonus when using code DDS. In the Prediction Zone, I will be making predictions based on players and fantasy football and their current stock price and tell you whether or not you should be buying or selling over on Prediction Strike. So first up here is Justin Fields. I believe that he could finish a top 8 quarterback in fantasy for 2025. The contract that he signed with the Jets was only $10 million more than the contract that the Steelers gave him, and he did slightly want to stay in Pittsburgh. The only reason he chose the Jets over the Steelers was the guaranteed starting position for 2025. That is it. So we know that Justin Fields, so long as he stays healthy, is the guaranteed starter for the New York Jets in 2025, the entire season. And we know that based off of his legs alone, he can finish a top 10 quarterback. But I say he finishes top 8. What does that mean? That's going to open the floodgates for Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall if this were to happen. Right now, over on Prediction Strike, we are seeing a stock price of $7.99 for Justin Fields. That's not too high, actually. If we were to buy right now and then we sell later on, if we believe there is whispers, let's say it's week 15, week 16, there's whispers, all right, yeah, they're actually going to move on from Justin after this season. Maybe you sell then, okay? Or you hold if you know they're going to keep him. But $7.99 isn't too expensive. Go buy you some shares. I am buying of Justin Fields. Now, Breece Hall, okay? This is where you have to make that decision. His current price is at $14.85. We've said before, he's only 23 years old. He's got room to grow in the NFL. You have to make the decision. Do you believe that he's still going to continue to be that bell cow back, or do you believe that they will actually truly go to running back by committee? Me, I'm believing that he is that true bell cow back. So $14.85 isn't actually that bad. It's not actually that bad. I'm going to be honest. Buy Breece Hall, but an easier buy is Garrett Wilson. His price has dipped significantly due to the last couple of years. We haven't really seen the ceiling of Garrett Wilson that we thought, that we knew he could become coming out of Ohio State. But now reuniting with Justin Fields, his $4.57 price tag over on Prediction Strike is not that bad. Not that bad. I am buying Garrett Wilson. Moving on here to the second prediction, Evan Ingram finishes a top 3 tight end in 2025. We've seen it before with Evan Ingram. We've seen him be able to do it. But what is the reason? Why do I feel more confident now than ever? I like what Sean Payton recently said about Evan Ingram, saying, quote, I would put him in that joker category, or at least that family. He is someone who has those skill sets. One of the things that helped us in the process of making of him making that decision was that role, that joker role, end quote. So to me, I think it's very exciting to see what Sean Payton's going to be able to do with Evan Ingram. And we saw in 2023, he finished tight end 2. In 2022, he finished tight end 5. He went 4 years with nothing burgers. And his rookie season in New York, he finished the tight end 5. I believe if he can give us a full season, he will be able to finish a top 3 tight end in fantasy football. What's the stock prices for not only him, but Bo Nix? Well, right now, Evan Ingram's at $5.83. Buy. We're going to buy that all day long. His partner, on the other hand, is very expensive. And I know he's only going into year 2, but this is a hefty price tag. Bo Nix is at $14.45. Yikes. If I have him, if I bought in right when he got into the NFL last year, I think I'm selling or I'm holding. I am not going to go buy Bo Nix right now. Okay, I'm not going to go do it. It's a hefty price tag. He's going to have to, at least at the $14, I don't think I'm going to be buying right now on Bo Nix. Let's move on. Ashton Jeanty is actually drafted by the Raiders. A recent report from the Raiders GM Jack Spatek on Ashton Jeanty said, quote, my oldest son has made it no secret that if we do not pick Ashton Jeanty at 6, that he's walking out of the family and he's going to find somebody else, probably whoever takes Ashton. Jack is motivated by fantasy football and touchdowns. He walked right into our building and basically told Mark Davis, if my dad doesn't take Ashton Jeanty, he's doing a bad job, end quote. Oh, that is a lot. That is a lot right there. So, of course, on Prediction Strike, you can't actually get any stock of any players who aren't in the NFL yet. But what would a player like Ashton Jeanty do with this Raiders team? It would open the floodgates of allowing the other players to be pretty solid. So Geno Smith right now on Prediction Strike has a price of only 97 cents. So if you believe that the Raiders will extend Geno, him being back with his former head coach and Pete Carroll, and you believe that that relationship will last longer than a year, Sure, it's only 97 cents. My goodness, you can go get 10 shares and spend less than $10 on Geno Smith. And who knows, maybe if you can sell it for more, if Geno does something or they do get a contract worked out. But Brock Bowers is only at $8.44 a share. I'm buying Brock Bowers all day long. And my last prediction here is that Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb return to their 2023 form and both finish top 5 at their position in fantasy in 2025. What's their stock prices right now? Dak Prescott is at $8.97. We know he's got years remaining on that contract. And if he can return to form, stay healthy, I think it's worth the buy. Now, CeeDee Lamb is a little high right now. He's at $8 a share. I am purchasing those CeeDee Lamb shares 100%. I'm purchasing those CeeDee Lamb shares regardless, okay, over on Prediction Strike. But those are the 4 predictions. Justin Fields finishes a top 8 quarterback in fantasy in 2025. Evan Ingram finishes top 3 tight end in 2025. Ashton Genty is actually drafted by the Raiders at 6 overall. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb return to form in 2025, both finishing a top 5 at their positions respectively. Now, of course, you can go get all these and more over on Prediction Strike. Make your predictions strike gold over on Prediction Strike. Just make sure you use code DDS not only when signing up, but also when making that first deposit, and you will get a deposit match bonus of up to $200. Thank you, Prediction Strike. Well, if you made it to this part of the show, I do just want to say thank you very much. Make sure you leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you're listening to this over on YouTube, please subscribe and, I don't know, comment something. It makes me feel good. But I am going to be doing another jersey giveaway this Friday. Nick Farrell won the jersey giveaway last Friday. This Friday is going to be the same thing. If you entered last week, you are still in contention for the one this week. All you have to do is enter one time, and you are in for all the jersey giveaways for the next 7 weeks. So all you have to do to enter is make sure you download the Prediction Strike app or go to the Prediction Strike website. Make an account using code DDS in the referral box, and you only have to deposit one time $10 using code DDS. That's it. One deposit using code DDS at $10. You'll not only get your deposit match bonus, of course, but that puts you in. If you do it, screenshot that you deposited using code DDS and DM it to me on Instagram or Twitter. Instagram at Daily Dynasty Show, Twitter at the DD Show 3, and that gets you in. I'll be putting you on the random wheel generator. And this Friday night, over on Instagram, I will be putting the wheel on my story showing who won the jersey. Good luck. And again, if you made it to this part of the show, please subscribe wherever you're listening. I cannot thank you guys enough for listening. This is my dream, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.